Hello? Hello?
Hey, Josh, where are you?
Just chilling. Where am I supposed to be?
You're supposed to be hosting the show tonight. It's the premiere.
Oh. That's tonight?
Yeah?
Yeah. I'll be right there.
From their studios in Houstonville, Kentucky, Salvation Light Media presents Joyful Tonight with Joshua Tomlin. On tonight's show, special guest Joseph Habedank. Now here's your host, Joshua Tomlin.
Hey everybody, welcome to Joyful Tonight. I'm Joshua Tomlin. We're so excited that you've chosen to join us for this very first episode of Joyful Tonight. We're going to have a lot more episodes to come, hopefully, so check back here every other Friday when we'll try to have another Joyful Tonight up for you. We're so excited, we're going to put a little bit of everything in it, which is exactly what I tell my hairstylist every day. What I would tell my hairstylist every day if I had one. But I don't. Because I'm poor. But anyway, we're going to have some skits, music, interviews, hopefully some things that'll make you laugh, maybe some things that'll make you think. So, but anyway, we have a great show for you today. Don't go anywhere, don't touch that dial, we'll be right back. Yeah, I know televisions don't have dials anymore, I'm just, it's an expression. What? Oh, it's on the internet. That would explain the low budget. Okay. Yeah, I can work with that. Don't open a new tab. We'll be right back. How's that? We don't have any commercials.
Hello, thank you for calling the Drive Better Help Center. This is Nilmat Nala Asaj. How can I help you?
Hi, I'm just learning how to drive, and I'm not sure what I'm doing, at all. I just got my learner's permit. They gave me some kind of manual thing at the DMV, but I'm not much of a reader, so basically, how do I drive this thing?
Oh, yes, the classic new young driver. I tell you, little one, it does my heart good when I get to take these kind of phone calls. Let me tell you what my father used to tell me when I was small child. Nilmot, he said, you will never face a problem where the solution is bigger than the circumstance of tomorrow.
You wouldn't try to learn how to drive talking to this guy on the phone. You'd want to go straight to the source and read the manual. So why would you try to live your life in much the same way? Of course you wouldn't do that, would you? Introducing the Bible. It's God's Word, and that's as close to the source as you can get. The Bible, God's manual for life.
Welcome back to Joyful Tonight. We're excited to have as the very first guest of this show a multi-award winning and Dove Award nominated singer-songwriter. He was awarded the Singing News Young Artist of the Year Award back in 2009, and he was Songwriter of the Year at the Absolutely Gospel Music Awards in 2011. He's none other than Joseph Habedank. Joseph, thank you so much for being on the show. How did you become interested in Southern gospel music?
Hey Josh, well first of all, thank you so much for having me on your show, and I think that I've always been interested in gospel music. In fact, I can remember as a 3 and 4 year old little boy, we lived in a little apartment in Sturgis, Michigan, and I would put in cassettes and the Singing Americans and the Kingsmen and Gold City, and I would sit there as a 3 and 4 year old little boy and just think, man, I love this music. And little did I know that I would get to do what these guys were doing for the rest of my life, and it's such an honor. Such a privilege to get to do that. And I remember the first concert that I ever went to, I think I was probably 4 or 5. We had moved from Sturgis, Michigan to Dayton, Ohio, and And at the Dayton Memorial Hall, we went and saw Gold City and the Kingsmen and Heaven Bound. And my Aunt Charity was there with me. I think my mom and my Aunt Charity took me in, and she coerced me into telling Brian Free that, you know, I wanted to sing like him when I grew up. And what's cool now is not only is Brian a friend, but he's recorded some songs that I've written, and now his son is actually my producer, which is just so cool. And it's amazing the things that the Lord allows come to pass in your life. God's just been so gracious to me and so good to me. And so to answer your question, I've always, as long as I can remember, been interested in this music. I've always loved it, always had a passion for it, and always wanted to do it. And so I'm just so grateful to still be living out this dream in my life.
And what got you started writing songs?
Well, you know, songwriting to me came about as natural as singing did, just because not only did I grow up singing, but my mom was a songwriter, and so that was always a huge passion of mine as well. I think the earliest that I can recall writing songs was probably in 1993. I was probably 8 years old, and something about words and music and putting them on paper just intrigued me. And I remember I had a little binder with these clear, I forget, Lindsay always tells me the name of them, but like these plastic sheet covers, and I would write these songs down about, you know, Mom doing the dishes and how grateful I was for a Christian family, and of course just all these songs that I thought were going to be, you know, special to people and that might draw some attention to my writing as a young child. And so yeah, I guess it's always been a passion for me. And then when I got into music full time, I guess it just kind of happened. I remember my first co-write was here in town with a great, incredible writer named Joel Lindsay, and started a publishing company probably back in 2006, I think it was, with Matthew Holt, and who's a dear friend, and we still run that publishing company today, Habba Holt Music. And so, you know, I started probably when I was 8 years old, and I'm still to this day. I'm writing tomorrow with a guy named Dwight Lyles, and writing next week with a young writer named Spencer Askew, and just love the process of writing and singing these songs, recording these songs, and they're my heart. I tell people I don't have any kids yet, but they're like my kids, these songs are, and I love songwriting probably as much as I do singing, so it's definitely a great passion of mine.
You've got a new album coming out soon. Tell us a little bit about that.
Thank you so much for asking about the album, because I'm just so excited about this record. In fact, I've been sitting here in this chair in my office. That's where I am right now. I'm in my office here in Nashville, where my wife and I live. And as you can see, I'm a huge Green Bay Packers fan. So, but to be able to sit in these chairs and be able to hear these songs for the first time, we've just been getting mixes in. Final mixes in just this week. So Monday and Tuesday, what's today, Thursday, Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, we've been getting the mixes, and a couple songs will come in every night. My wife and I will come in here and listen and just hear these songs that so much work and pain and heartache has gone into. And a lot of times as a writer, the songs that you write, they come with a cost, they come with a price. And so my wife and I walked through probably the toughest year of our lives, but God has been so good to us, so gracious, and has picked us up and carried us through. And this album is like a soundtrack of what I've walked through in the past year or two in my life, and I'm just so grateful for the opportunity that He's given me to share these songs. I'm so grateful for Daywin Records, my first album with Daywin as a solo artist, and they've just been over backwards, been wonderful to me. Ed Leonard and Scott Godsey and just so many people over there, Carla and Amanda, and I'm just so grateful for them, and really excited. It's called Welcome Home. It's got 11 brand new songs, and I co-wrote every single one of them, actually, which is really cool for me, because I've never had an album where I wrote every single song. And as you can probably tell, I am ecstatic about this album. I can't stop smiling. I'm so excited. The release date's almost here. It's July 22nd, and it'll be available on iTunes and in your local Christian bookstore. And of course at our concerts. You can look at josephhabedank.com on our tour page to see where we're going to be. My wife and I are going to New York City this weekend and singing up in Connecticut, so we're excited about that. But every weekend we're in somewhere different, and the doors that the Lord has opened has just been unbelievable to me. And this album, I'm praying that this album will open more doors, but more importantly than that, I hope that it helps people. The number one reason that I started this solo ministry was to be able to help people walk through their stuff. Because I've been through some stuff in my life just in the past couple of years, and this album is such a testament of that. And so excited. Hope you all enjoy it. We've got a really special announcement we're going to make the next couple of days about a pre-release concert where we're going to invite about 100 people to come here in Nashville to hear me sing the 11 songs in sequence, and all the songwriters are going to be there to talk about the day that we wrote the song, and it's just going to be a great night. So be on the lookout for that. It should be, a press release should be on singingnews.com and on josephhabedank.com and possibly on daywind.com. That'll be out the next couple of days. It's going to be great. I probably shouldn't have shared the news this early, but so excited about this album. So excited. July 22nd. Welcome home.
Now, you've traveled the road for several years now, so no doubt you've seen a lot of things. A lot of things have happened. What are some memorable moments, funny or serious?
Well, when you say memorable moment, the first thing that comes to mind is probably last October I did a songwriting retreat in St. Louis, Missouri, put on by a dear friend of mine and my wife, Sue Smith, who's just an incredible songwriter, but more importantly, just an incredible woman. And she does this thing every year. In fact, my wife went to it when she was just a teenager. And so she asked me last September, I believe it was, just a month before the retreat, if I would come teach. And so it was so exciting and so excited to do that. So we went, got in the car, drove to St. Louis, and on Friday night, they do what is called a songwriter in the round. This is probably 200, 300 songwriters from all over the country, young and old, and any age, come and just to sharpen their craft. And along with those students, you have about 15 to 20 songwriters that are on what's considered a staff, I guess. And all the songwriters that were on staff that year got up on Friday night and did what is called like a songwriter in the round type concert. And I remember praying about, what the Lord would want me to sing. I had known a couple weeks in advance that I was going to have to sing something. So I asked my wife, which I often do, and say, what do you think I should sing? And she said, I think you should sing When the Lights Go Down. And I remember singing that song, which is pretty much my testimony song. And man, the Spirit of the Lord just fell on me. And it's such a awesome moment, because there was a time not too long before that where I wasn't sure if I'd ever sing again when I came off the road last May, and I'd been off the road for 4 or 5 months before I sang again. And to be in that moment and to not only get to sing again, but to feel that God can still use me, and that God can still use these songs, and that God can still use these gifts, even though I hadn't been using them for a period of time. It was just such an amazing feeling to know that He is still on my side. He is still in control. And I will never forget that moment. And a huge thank you to Sue Smith for inviting me and asking me to sing that night. I'll never forget it. And of course, I got to thank Lindsay for giving me the idea to sing that song. She is an amazing woman, and often she'll give me some of the best advice. Sometimes I call her the Holy Spirit, because I'm like, what should I sing? And she'll tell me, but amazing woman. And as far as memorable moments in the last 6 months, that's what first comes to mind. And so yeah, When the Lights Go Down. In fact, you can see that song here on YouTube, I believe. So, and it'll be on my new album as well. I think it's going to be the final cut on the album. I'm so excited about not only people in general hearing it, but singers hearing it as well. It's kind of a singer's challenge to be the kind of man that Jesus wants us to be. And just a really convicting song. I'm excited for everybody to hear it.
Now, what song that you have written is your favorite, and why?
My favorite song that I've ever written has probably changed in recent days. There's a song called Now I Know Him that I wrote with Sue Smith, who I talked about earlier, and a man named Tony Wood, who's become like a writing mentor to me. And this song is so special to me after the past couple years and the things that I've had to walk through personally. I just thought that I knew God before I walked through my stuff. But I'm so grateful today to say that I know Him in a different way. I know Him like I never have before. He's not only my friend, He's my best friend. He's not only my guide, but He is the only way and the only truth for me in my life. And I'm so grateful to know Him. I've known about Him my whole life, and singing these songs and writing these songs, raised in church. I got a granddad that's a preacher and a stepdad that's a preacher, and my dad was a preacher. And yet, did I really know Him? Did I really take the time to get to know what He can do for me and the fulfillment that I can have in my life when I totally surrender to His will and what He wants for me. And this song is on my brand new album. It's called Now I Know Him. And actually, if you go to josephhabedank.com, it is the song that plays when you open the front page. And I'm so excited about this song. And I was talking earlier about helping people. I really feel like this song will help people. And I say this every night in my concerts. If you're walking through something, just know God is not mad at you. God does not want to hurt you. He wants to know you like He never has before, and He wants you to know Him.
Well, thank you so much, Joseph, for being on the show. We really appreciate it. Everybody visit josephhabedank.com. His new album, Welcome Home, releases this July. Now we're going to move on to a segment called Ask a Preacher. Now, we here at Joyful Tonight believe that everybody should be reading their Bibles, but there are some passages that can be a little difficult to understand. So after asking God and praying about it, who better to ask than a preacher? So we look for some passages that might be, a little bit difficult. Proverbs 26:4-5 has confused several people, including myself. It says, "Answer not a fool according to his folly, lest thou also be like unto him." And the next verse, "Answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own conceit." Now that can be confusing at first glance. So we decided to ask a local pastor, Kaywood Morris, in this segment of Ask a Preacher.
Proverbs chapter 26, verses 4 and 5. "Answer not a fool according to his folly, lest thou also be like unto him. Answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own conceit." Here we have a problem sometimes when people are reading the Bible. They think that these verses contradict each other. Well, if we look at it in a common sense point, the writer had a purpose for putting these back to back in chapter 26, verse 4 and 5. Because there's two ways to answer a fool. When we look at it and we think it contradicts itself, it actually complements itself. When we are out here every day living our Christian lives, we have to consider what the Bible tells us so that we'll know how to react to certain people. So the first thing that we have to figure out is, what is a fool? Well, a fool would be someone that's devoid of knowledge. Now, this isn't saying someone's so much of a fool that they don't just have common sense sometimes. Most people they're born with just a common sense. They know how to put their pants on, they know how to put their shirts on, they can learn things like that. But in this context, we're talking about the Bible. This is spiritually discerned. That's how the Bible is discerned by us as Christians. If you read it as a history book, you won't totally understand the Bible. But if you read it and spiritually discern it as a Christian, then these are good words to live by, and they're actually two ways to answer a fool. Okay, now a fool is devoid of knowledge in this instance of the Bible. So this would be someone that is spiritually ignorant of what you're talking about. You can handle them one of two ways. The first way, the writer is saying, don't answer them. Listen, we've all been in conversations with people that weren't fruitful. My belief is that you give everyone an answer if they seek it. But sometimes it's so futile, because when you're talking to these people, they won't understand it because they're carnal. They're not spiritual people. They're not able to understand it. So there's no sense in us as Christians getting to a point to where we get into an argument, or we get drawn into an argument with someone that you really can't win. And on the outside looking in, then we would consider taking ourselves, dropping ourselves along with them. We would come down a notch to their level, or stoop to their level. So that's what the writer is saying, is answer them not according to their folly. Their folly is they can't spiritually discern this. But then there's also a time in verse 5 that we should answer a fool. And if we answer a fool according to his folly, then his foolishness will be proof enough that he is a fool about these things. The one thing that I can always talk about, in an open sense, is I don't believe in the theory of evolution. So if a Christian person was to believe in evolution and creationism simultaneously, they can't do it. They can say they can, and they can probably have a thesis for that or a belief system for that, but a Christian believes the Bible. So I can't go out and give anybody an answer biblically if I don't have my Bible. So I don't believe in evolution. Okay, so if I was going to answer someone, let's say, that dabbled in both, Okay? And I think they're foolish in doing so because the creation account is in the book of Genesis. And that's what I hold to be true. Now, if you take and you factor in evolution, there's no proof that evolution exists. Archaeologists dig up things all the time. They don't find any instance of evolution ever occurring. That's why it's called the missing link. It is because it's missing. So if someone tries to believe both, and they were trying to teach a bunch of children, maybe in, let's say, my church, for instance, if they were trying to teach them that evolution was correct, and that also they could believe in the biblical account of creation at the same time, then that's foolish. I have to give them an answer. But my answer will be based upon Scripture and not anything else. So according to the fool's folly, their reasoning with the world will be exposed just by reading the Bible and quoting scriptures and quoting about creationism. So, as we can see, the writer of Proverbs had two ways to answer a fool. So this isn't contradictory.
Thanks to Pastor K. Wood for clearing that up for us. Hopefully we understand it a little bit better. If you have a question about a passage of Scripture, feel free to email us, joyfultonightshow@gmail.com, or send a message to us on Facebook, facebook.com/joyfultonight. Well, that's it for this show. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Also, like our page on Facebook. Shoot us an email with any ideas you have. We're open to criticism, constructive criticism. So remember, joy comes in the morning, but with Christ in your heart, you can be joyful tonight.